Hello everyone. Welcome to another live video. This time at this park here. I did a video here last year, about 8 months ago. Thought I'd come back and do another one for you. You hear all the birds singing in the background. And let's talk about this. Let's talk about what the narcissist thinks of you when you're done. When you've had enough of all of the control. They're so controlling, so demanding. And pretty much what happens is, when you get around a narcissist, you have to forget yourself. You have to forget your feelings, your wants, needs, desires, everything. You have to abandon all of it. You have to let it all go just to align with their agenda, with what they want for you. And really, what they want for you is just whatever serves themselves. It's just whatever makes life easier for them. But you think that it's going to be good for you because they give you lies, they give you future faking. So you're thinking that at some point in the future, all of this is going to pay off. And that it's going to be worth all of your labor. Because that's what they leave you thinking. That's how they get you to work for them. That's how they get your loyalty, your devotion. Because you think that at some point it's going to be worth it. Because it isn't worth it right now. I mean, you're sacrificing yourself, you're bending over backwards for them. And you think that you're going to be building a life together, but no. You're just building a life for them. And once they get what they want out of you, typically they just move on and they find someone else. They're off to the next person then. After you just slaved away all of those years, you did everything for them. And they're very sensitive towards any deviation from you. You have to strictly follow their rules, but they can just toss you aside whenever they want to. After everything that you invested in them. This is what they do. At any moment, they can just get rid of you. Regardless of all of your commitments. It just doesn't mean anything. And that's why they're so controlling, because they're envious of you, jealous. That's why they want to possess you, own you. So they can reap the benefits and the rewards from you. That's why they do that. And you think you're investing in something worthwhile. That's going to be profitable. That's going to be good for you. But no, you're just self-sacrificing. You're sacrificing yourself for this person. And they just don't even really care about you. They pretend like they do. But all they care about is making things better for themselves. They're not concerned about you at all. And that's how, gradually you start to wake up. You start to realize that, hold on a minute, there's no real love, no real connection. And they're just all about themselves. That's what you begin to see with time. And so then you realize, I got to get myself up out here. Because clearly things aren't going to get any better. The best that I'm ever going to get from them is a fantasy, an illusion. And all of that time, as long as you were there for them. They're coming in now, hold on. They follow me wherever I go. If they can't get to me in a car, then they send out a bike. It's creepy. But this is it. I mean, Lost my train of thought. Let's get back to it now. Yeah, they were just sitting back. They weren't really too worried about you. They didn't really care about you at all. They didn't ask you how you were doing, nothing. While you were busy slaving for them, while you were doing everything that they asked for, while you were still under the spell, thinking that all of this hard work and dedication is going to pay off at some point, they didn't even care about you. They just left you to it. Never really talked to you. Never had a deep conversation. They never asked you what you were going through. They never even cared. And your life just revolved around work, slaving around for them. Like that's all that your purpose was. And it was all because you're thinking that at some point in the future, things are going to get better, things are going to change. That's what they make you think. But they never do. And that's why, at some point you begin to realize it. But you begin to see, how they react when you challenge them, when you have a life outside of them, when you want to do just what you want to do. Because they always get to do what they want to do. They get to have their freedom, but you don't get to have yours. And if you do, that's when the abuse starts. They use that to justify any ill treatment towards you. To them, then, that's free reign. They can just do whatever they like from that point on. They can break the rules, if they can have their freedom, they can do whatever they like. But if you do it, now that justifies them using the full extent of their power on you. This is what they do. Until at some point you begin to realize you're having to endlessly serve them, worship them like they're a god, do everything for them, get nothing back in return other than maybe just the bare minimum. And anytime that you challenge them, anytime you think for yourself, anytime you do anything for yourself, what happens is then they start abusing you. Once you start to think outside of the brainwashing, because this is what they do, they brainwash you. They put you under a spell. And they do that through the future faking. That's what keeps you running endlessly like a hamster on a wheel. That's what makes you a lamb to the slaughter. You're just on this conveyor belt lifestyle. On autopilot, just going through the motions, not thinking about what you're even doing. It's like you're asleep for all of that time and the years of your life just pass you by. And you're getting nothing out of it, nothing worthwhile. And you're just making life easier for them. That's all that you're doing. But yeah, you push back against it, you challenge them on it, and you really see their rage. They start to lose their minds. And then they become even more controlling. But initially, they're quite confident in their manipulation, in the conditioning process. They don't really think that you're actually going to leave and never come back. Not because it is actually better or safer with them. Of course not. Being with a narcissist, that's as worse as it gets. But they've conditioned you for such a long time and made you dependent on them through intermittent reinforcement. Punishments and rewards at irregular intervals. This conditions your mind. It keeps you trapped. And then also, there's the trauma bond. And they've given you hope. They've given you faith about something in the future. And it kind of gives you like OCD. You become obsessive compulsive. And you're thinking, you got to keep going. You can't ever give up. You have to be loyal. And anything you do that's not aligned with their orders is betrayal. So that means that all of your hard work up until that point, that's all gone to waste. And all as a result of your own actions. So then it keeps you fixated on whatever they need you to do. It keeps you in line. And that's just it, it's the whole point. This is how they control you. This is how they keep you doing exactly what they want you to do. And then you never question them, you never think for yourself. Because they condition you to believe that if you question them, if you challenge them, if you think for yourself, if you do your own thing, then all of that goes to waste, all of that's all gone. And you can never get it back. And of course, no one wants to experience loss. And just the thought of it, just the thought of losing everything, or at least everything you think that you've worked so hard for, that's what keeps you in line. That's what keeps you doing and giving for them. Here's another view. I don't know if there's any fish in there. But yeah, that's what keeps you going. And not only that, but a sort of fear. Because they condition you. As I mentioned before, I mean, it could be something where you challenged them or you did something that they didn't like. And maybe at first, the punishment was very extreme. Maybe they hit you physically. But then from that point on, they don't even have to do that. Because they know you're going to have that memory. So now all they have to do is just raise their hand. Or even if they just look at you a certain way. Or sometimes you may just hear their car coming home from work, or them putting the keys in the door. And that's enough to make you fear them, fear their reaction. So then you just give up on all of your passions, all of your interests, whatever you wanted to do with your life. You just forget about all of it, and your purpose becomes just to serve them and to make sure that they're comfortable. And you're not comfortable, but you don't ever even think about it. You're not even thinking to yourself, am I comfortable? Am I okay with this? How do I feel? You don't even know who you are anymore by that point. Because they've conditioned you, they've molded you into exactly who they need you to be. And this is why, you know, when you are done, when you do leave the narcissist, they don't think you're just going to move on. They assume that you're going to come back because they've done this before. Or they've seen other people do it before, and they know that with this conditioning, it stays stuck in your brain, where you feel like you can't make it on your own. It affects your confidence. You really believe that you need them, even though you are the one doing all of the work. And sometimes it's just their arrogance. They don't actually bring anything to the table. They're just very arrogant. And that gives you a sense of safety. It makes you feel like everything's under control. But then if you look back, what did they ever actually do? It's all just the conditioning process. It's the grooming. But yeah, when you do keep moving on and as time goes by, it causes a narcissistic injury. Your independence bruises their ego. It makes them feel unimportant. It makes them feel like they're not needed. And they need to feel needed because they're the ones who need you. You never needed them. They always needed you. And everything that they said about you not being good enough, you not being able to move on your own, these were all projections. That's exactly how they felt about themselves. They projected that onto you. They were the ones who needed you all along. They need a source of supply. They need someone to sustain them and to regulate their emotions. They can't do any of that by themselves. And that's why they have to train you into thinking that no, you actually need them. Because of course, by them doing that, by them getting you to associate your needs with them, it makes it far less likely that you're ever going to leave. When they never actually even do anything for you. So yeah, they're the ones who need you, and that's why when you leave, it causes a narcissistic injury. They begin to rage, they begin to lose their minds. They become out of control. Because you were the very thing that was keeping them in line. But initially, they will convince themselves that you were the problem. They will rewrite the story to make themselves the victim. They will say that you disobeyed them, you betrayed them, after everything that they did to you, and you just weren't happy about it. You were selfish. And they will just make it out like you abandoned them. But they will assume that you're going to fail without them. Because they've already conditioned you to believe that you're not enough. They targeted your confidence and then they left you chasing after them for validation. So they think you're not going to make it too far. But even after you leave, they still feel entitled to your loyalty. They still see you as their possession. Because this is just how narcissists think. Once they've had you, once they've been involved with you, then that's it for life. Regardless of how they treat you, regardless of what they do to you. In their minds, you are their property. And they still own you. Why? After you try to move on, it's very difficult to have any boundaries with them. And they get very jealous. Because they really see you as their property. They really believe that they own you, as though you belong to them. And of course, you know, that's to do with a narcissistic extension. They view you as a part of themselves. So when you think that they care about you, no, they really just care about themselves. They care about themselves through you. And just look at how they treat people who they don't view as extensions of themselves, who they don't view as someone who can serve them. They just treat them with contempt. They don't care about them. They don't care about what other people are going through. It doesn't mean anything to them. They might use them and just take things from them. But that's about it. And really, that's about it with you. But they only keep you around because you are a mirror. You reflect back to them how they want to be seen, how they want to see themselves. So you make them feel desirable, powerful, important. It's got nothing to do with you as a separate person. And that's why, after getting involved with them, there is no separate self for you. They never cared about your feelings, wants, needs, desires, goals, dreams, ambitions. You stop caring about all of that. They don't encourage you with any of that. They don't give you any support. It's just all about how it pertains to them, what you can do for them, how you can support them. Because they're narcissists, they just only care about themselves. And that's just how it works. And if you're not going to fulfill that position, if you're not going to be everything that they need, if you're not going to give up your life and make it all about them, then they don't need you. But once they've already gotten you to fulfill that position, like I said, they don't let it go. They see it as though that's it for life. Because they once already had control over you. And so they feel entitled to that. Otherwise, they have to experience a sense of loss. And they don't know how to handle that. So yeah, even when you try to move on, they think you're just seeking attention or drama. They think that's really what you want. They think that's all that it's for. Because they have to shift it onto you. They have to blame you. They have to see it as though it's something wrong with you. They have to see you as the narcissist. And so you're just going off for attention or to cause drama. Because it's just all about yourself. They have to project it onto you. Because the entire time, they were using you for attention. They were creating drama with you to keep you under control. So then they just put that onto you. Because of course, when you start to leave, it makes them reflect on themselves and they try to suppress the fact that, yes, all of that time, that's what they were doing. They were seeking attention from you, they were seeking attention from anyone. And creating drama when they couldn't get their way. And when they see you healing, when they see you moving on, they're seeing it as though you're just trying to hurt them. You're trying to make them feel less than, you're trying to make them feel inadequate. You're trying to get revenge. You're just trying to flaunt it in front of them. That's how they see it. Because they view you as an extension of themselves, so they see it as though everything you do, everything you say, it has to have something to do with them. There can't be anything separate outside of them. So everything you do, they've always got a meaning for it. It always has to come back to them somehow. Even your healing. They see it as though you're just seeking attention. You're just causing problems. Or it's a form of revenge for you. You're trying to hurt them. And then it becomes a competition and they obsess over trying to get the final say, the last word. But yeah, it's just that they can't accept that you have seen through the illusion. And especially when you're being silent, when you're not saying anything, that enrages them more than any argument, because they can't survive without that supply. And yeah, they will project their shame onto you by accusing you of betrayal. But honestly, once you get away and once they know that you're gone, that's when the real betrayal begins. That's when they really start to betray you. That's when they show you they were never committed to you. They never cared about you. They never loved you. That's where they will begin to show you that. Because they will get very envious and jealous. They will feel like you're slipping away their possession, what belonged to them. And you're just leaving them behind, making them feel insignificant now. So then they want to regain that control over you. And yeah, they will do that by discrediting you, trying to sabotage your progress, your attempts to move on. They will target you financially. They will smear your name. They will isolate you. They will try to make it so that you can't move on, so that you can't build a life of your own, so that you can't get a job, you can't make money for yourself. You can't start a business. You can't meet new people. You can't have a new relationship. You can't have anything to do with your independence. They will target it because they don't want you to be independent. They viewed you as a possession, as an object that existed to serve them. And they want to keep it that way. Because once they've used you to fulfill that purpose, they see it as though that's it for life. And so when you try and get away, they're just trying to bring you back. They want to keep you dependent on them. They want to keep you under their control, because this is the whole point. It's that they are the ones who need you. They were always the ones who needed you. You never needed them. At the very beginning, they try to make you think that you were missing something, that you weren't good enough by yourself, that you were less than who you actually are. And think about it, why do they do that? It's so that you look outside thinking that you need them, because they are the ones who need you. And this is their whole goal. This is what narcissists do. This is what psychopaths do. They come in making you think that you're not good enough on your own, or you need some help. You need some assistance. You need them. And there's no real feeling, no real connection there. It's all just a fantasy. It's all just future faking, manipulation. And they give you a little dopamine hit, and then they pull away, and it leaves you chasing after that. Because then once they're gone, you feel like something is missing, when it's really just a drug. It's an addiction. That's all that it is. And it's not something that you ever needed. But this is how they hook you. This is how they pull you in. This is how they leave you thinking that you need them when you don't. When you would have been fine without them. But of course you don't realize that, not for a while, because you never had that opportunity to just be on your own. And this is it, this is it with narcissistic parents. This is why they do what they do. When the child starts going through puberty, once you're around 13, 14, that's when they start devaluing you. That's when they start making you feel insecure and trying to target any sense of your individuality, any sense of identity, any sense of separation, to keep you enmeshed, because the narcissistic parent needs you. Because they've assigned you to be in their supply. And of course, any individuality, any self-expression, any separation challenges them, challenges their control. This is just what all narcissists are like. And yet they make you think that it's a connection, that it's love. It's not. You don't even know who they are. They don't even know who you are. You're too close to even know who each other is. It's enmeshment. You're extensions of each other. You view them as a part of yourself. They view you as a part of them. And that's why you feel incomplete without them. Because I can tell you this, in a real relationship, with a real connection, real love, there is separation. And you feel good on your own. You feel fine by yourself. You don't feel like you need them. You don't feel like you can't live without them. You may know fully well, if I do leave them, I'm going to be fine on my own. I may be hurt initially, but with time, things will get better. You may know that you can walk away anytime you like. If you're with someone who's not overly controlling, they're not overly dependent on you in that way. So you can walk out the door and Yeah, they're going to be hurt, but they're going to accept that you want to break up, you want to walk away, and you want to do your own thing. They can accept that. And yeah, of course, breakups are very painful. Of course they are. But this is the beautiful part about it. The beautiful part about freedom and how love is sometimes about letting go. Because the most beautiful thing is, in that type of real relationship, you can leave. You're not under control. You're not being conditioned, brainwashed, coercion, threats, intimidation. So you can go if you want, but you don't. You choose to stay anyway because you genuinely just love that person. And that's what real love is. When your needs don't revolve around them. When your needs revolve around them, that's not love. That's like a child and a parent. You're just taking care of them, or they're taking care of you in some way. Even if it is just a fantasy. Real love, real connection, a real relationship comes when you are separate, when there isn't enmeshment, when you're both free. And of course, that is what narcissists do not want. And this is why what happens when you challenge them, when you confront them, when you expose them, when you do anything individual with your own identity, your own self-expression, they feel threatened. They rage, they lash out. They go crazy, they lose their minds. They can't take it. Because they want to keep you enmeshed, they want to keep you serving them. Because they're unable to regulate themselves. They're unable to meet their own needs. And that's why they want to keep you enmeshed, depending on them, rather than you being confident in yourself and feeling like you can take care of yourself. They don't ever want you to think that way. They don't ever want you to feel independent, free, at peace. No. They never want you to feel that way. Never. Because that is a threat to their control. They can't keep you under their control if you could just do what you want. If you could just be yourself. If you could take care of yourself. Then they've got no control over you, and then there's the fear of rejection, abandonment. And again, they also have an abandonment wound from childhood. And this is really why they're like that. It's because maybe their own parent couldn't take care of themselves and was dependent on them emotionally, as an emotional regulator, for emotional support. And then they assign you to that role as well. I mean, it's not always that exact same way. I mean, there are different kinds of dynamics. But yeah, this is what it's like. This is what they do. And they don't even feel bad about it. They feel no remorse for really just robbing you of your life. That's really what they do. They take your life away from you. They take your identity away from you. They take your sense of self, everything. Your sense of individuality, so that you can be under the spell where you keep serving them, thinking that you're doing the right thing. Until your entire life passes you by, and then at some point you do wake up and you're like, where's my life gone? How come I never got to do anything that I wanted to do? I never got what I wanted, and I was never allowed to take care of myself, nothing. And the entire time, all I ever did was just try to make this person happy, be loyal and devoted to them, regulate their emotions, their stress. I was like their emotional punching bag, maybe their personal ATM as well. And what have you got to show for it again? Nothing. And then that's when you start to wake up. Those of you who had narcissistic parents, you might have realized this. Maybe in your mid-20s, if you were lucky, maybe late 30s, late 20s, maybe 30s. Those of you in narcissistic relationships, sometimes you don't wake up until much later in life. I've spoken to some people who didn't realize until they were in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and only then did they wake up and realize their entire life was fake. Their entire life was a lie. They were just being used, robbed, and they never got to do what they wanted to do. They never got to live their own life. They were living for someone else. That's what it's like. But that's why I'm here, to wake you up, to give you the support that you need, to let you know that you're not alone. Because I've been through this myself so many times. I know what it's like. And sometimes it's like you don't even want to admit it to yourself. You don't want to admit that you've been used, robbed, deceived. That everything you gave, it all went to waste. All of those years were all fake. You don't want to have to accept that. But unfortunately, that's what you have to do. That's the only way you can be free. That's the only way that you can let go and move on. And you know, I had to do that myself. When I was about 29 years old, when I found out about this, about narcissistic abuse, I had to accept, yes, 29 years of my life were all fake, all going to waste. I thought I was just an emotional regulator. I was just giving emotional support. I was a punching bag. And I wasn't living my own life. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And I was just trapped, isolated. I couldn't have my own friends. I couldn't really have anything. When I was giving all of my love, loyalty, devotion away, and just holding on to lies and future faking. Until eventually, much of my life just passed me by. But fortunately, you know, things did get better for me. And I can say that. Because when I was 29, you know, I started my channel, started making these videos. I made quite a bit of money in the beginning, and it was like, finally. As you may see in some of my earliest live videos, it's like I could go to the store. And even simple things, I could like buy chocolates. Things I could never normally have. Just a cheap box of chocolates. And I could order a takeaway, pizza, Chinese. I could change my diet. I could be a vegan. It's like I could do all sorts of things then. And it's not that I came from a poor family, no. As many of you may know, I came from an affluent family. We lived in a multi-million-pound home, and had about £500,000 worth of cars, Aston Martins and AMG Mercedes, everything. But I was just under so much control. I was not allowed any sort of abundance. I mean, forget abundance. I wasn't allowed options. I wasn't allowed freedom. Even like small amounts. I couldn't have anything. No freedom of expression, no individuality. Even just little things. No treats. And, you know, it was a horrible thing to go through. You know, to just want to be young and to just, even as a kid, you know, to want to have like chocolates or whatever, and like order a takeaway when I want to eat the kind of food that I want to eat. Of course, you know, it was never about the price. But yeah, unfortunately, that didn't last too long, and I ended up meeting other people with that similar personality who controlled me in a very similar way. But I'm thankful for those times because, you know, at least in this life, I got to have those experiences. I got to be more like myself. And that's why I leave these videos up. And you can go back, you can look at my older live videos, you can see what I was like. When I had that independence, when I could work for myself, when I could do the things that I want to do. You get to see what is my real character, my real personality like. What am I really interested in? When I'm not under so much control. And you can see, you know, I travel around in parks just like this, travel around all sorts of countries, out in nature, climbing up mountains, eating a box chocolates, in a beautiful home as well with 4 floors, 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms in the Lake District. You can see all of these things. All of the places that I went to, shared it all with you. Yeah, you can see it all. And that was enough for me, you know, that was enough to get it out of my system. Because my entire life, it's like, I just wanted to be me. I just wanted to express myself. And it's not that I'm dependent on someone else and they have to make it happen for me. No, I could do it on my own, and I did. I worked for myself. I built my own business. I worked really hard. And I mean like 10, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I've been doing it for like over 7 years. Because that's real independence. It's real independence. And, you know, initially that's what feminism was meant to be about. But then with all of this brainwashing, now they try to make it about, women being free, women having their independence, but still just dependent on a man and his money to provide the life that they want. Now that's not feminism, that's just laziness. That's just a child. The whole point is that women wanted rights. They wanted equality. That's not equality. That's very unequal. But as for real feminists, I support that, and, you know, good for you to have your independence, to have your freedom, to have your equality, where you can work and get the same pay as men do, start your own business, and just build a life for yourself. You know, good for you. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's fair. And it's good, you know, just like with me. It's the same thing. And maybe that's how I can see that it's good for you too. Because my entire life, I never got to be myself. I never got to do what I wanted to do. I never got to be free. And then I did. Because I was thrown away, I was discarded, isolated. And I thought, you know, I'm going to make use of this time. I'm going to start to research things. I'm going to start to work hard. And then I got myself out of it. I traveled the world, I did so many things. And yeah, that's me. That's my life. That's the real me. And I'm so proud of myself, you know. And I always knew that I could do it. I mean, that was the whole point. Like I'm saying to you, that's why they didn't want me to be free, independent. That's why they wanted to keep me under control so that I don't show them up. And so they could just keep me, use me, because they were the ones who needed me, I never needed them. It's just many of you don't realize it at the time. Like I always say, like I always refer to, it's like the movie Cinderella, especially for the women who are watching this. If you believe that you are a powerful, independent woman, then that's you. If you really believe it and you're not just lying to yourself. Because, you know, that's it. Some women aren't built that way. You know, they can't succeed on their own, maybe. And, you know, I don't know too much about that. I'm sure there's reasons for it. But some women, they're just not strong enough on their own. And so if that's you, then maybe you do need a man to take care of things, to take care of everything. But I think for most of you, no, it's that you were kept down, you were controlled. You weren't allowed to be you. And yeah, you know, I can relate. I know exactly what that's like. And I knew all along, I knew my entire life just how great I am. I always had big dreams. I always knew I could change the world. I always knew that. And look at me now. 193,000 subscribers, over 50 million views. And I'm not saying it to brag. I mean, you know, I've already had the YouTube plaque now for coming up to 4 years. I'm saying this to motivate and inspire you, to let you know that you can do it too. Because you really can, if you believe that you can. And if you know that it's real confidence that you have. And I've always been saying this. I've been saying this since the very beginning. You can do it. It all starts with that belief in yourself. Do you really believe? Can you break the conditioning? If you can do anything. And you know, that's really my mission. It's just to let you know that. Because I'm all just about bringing peace and freedom to you. That's what my mission is, to do. But yeah, let me know. What do you think about what I've said to you? And do you have any questions? Because I know this has been a bit of a more generalized video. So any specific questions, let me know. PB says, since I'm a hairstylist, I have to be social daily. And he hated me even going to work. He tried to make me quit several times. If it wasn't for my job, I don't know where I'd be. Isolation is immortal. Yeah, that's it. That's part of the jealousy. You can't even go to work, nothing. And, you know, what I will say, it's all right. If you mention that at the beginning, fair enough. You know, whether it's, I don't know if we're talking about a man or a woman here, but you know, whichever gender it is, if maybe you do experience a bit of jealousy, be honest about it. Reveal what you're insecure about. Own it, express it, and just say, you know, I'm uncomfortable with you working at a hairdresser's because maybe you're touching the hair, you're touching the head of someone of the opposite sex, and I'm uncomfortable with that. Like, at least be honest about it at the beginning. But they don't do that. They don't reveal their true intentions, their true motives. Liam Findlay. says, but now you realize you've wasted your best days working every day, brainwashed by society, now you're bitter. No, definitely not. One of the best decisions I ever made in my life. I mean, I talk about it all the time. I'm so glad that I found Sam Vaknin's videos. Best thing that I ever did. Because then I found out about narcissism. And yeah, I've been researching this every day. This is like my purpose. This is what I enjoy doing. I love researching about it. I love talking about it. I'm so passionate. I love making videos. Yeah, it's hard work. It definitely is. But I can't just sit around being lazy. I see that as wasting my life. And it wasn't all about the money. No, it was about upgrading myself. And I'm very proud of who I am now, especially compared with who I used to be. Now I'm more educated. I have more understanding, awareness of other people and myself, and just the world in general. And that's why I'm so passionate about educating all of you on this as well, because it's been good for me. And also, from all of that work, I got to travel the world and just have all of these amazing experiences. So I'm really glad with how things turned out. I don't ever feel bitter about it. No, definitely not. There's nothing to feel bitter about. If there's anything I'm bitter about, it's that I didn't find this stuff out earlier. That I wasted like 29 years of my life just being asleep. And it was all fake. But this is what I'm happy about. This is what I'm proud of, is my work more than anything. John Tracy said he used to lock her in the house all day too. Discovered this years later. That is horrible. Locking someone in the house. But I can relate to it. I've been locked in the house. I remember many times I was locked in, not allowed to go out, and in narcissistic relationships too. That's what they did to me. They just locked me in, like I'm a prisoner. Quite literally depriving me of my freedom. Because they want to own you, they want to possess you. Glad you're enjoying the nature walk. It is a beautiful park here, it really is. I mean, you know, this is why I had to come back again. There's something about it, isn't it? Hearing the birds in the background. Seeing the water flowing. The trees. Yeah, what I will say, you know, when someone is controlling, it's a red flag. Unless they can be accountable for it. So if someone can explain to you the reasons why they're controlling, if they can say to you, okay, yeah, I'm a bit controlling here, I know. Like they can tell you, I don't like you going to bars or clubs with your friends. Now, if they can explain why, if they can say, you know, they feel a bit jealous, they feel a bit insecure, you know, you going out, they're worried in case you you meet like a beautiful girl or a handsome man. You know, they're jealous in case someone takes you away from them. If they can explain that, well, that's good. You know, they can be open, vulnerable, they can connect to you. The red flag is when they can't do that. That means something is wrong. And that means that it may not be anything to do with connection or love. They see it as though someone might take away their property, their little plaything. That's all you are to them. So it's not always that control is bad. No. Control can be good sometimes, of course. And you really have to determine, is it justified, is it warranted? Because I can tell you, these narcissists, they abuse it. They are so controlling, and it's just all for themselves, for their own egos. But yeah, you may remember, I think it was about 8 months ago, I think. I did a video right in the spot. And since then, I have had some incredible experiences. I will admit, it's been hard since all of the sabotage, all of the people who have been after me, like sabotage and everything, stealing from me. It's been difficult to keep this going, but I've still been exploring, I've still been learning. You can see it all on my Instagram. Over the past 1 year, I was in the Philippines twice, all over Manila. So many different towns, cities there. I went to the islands, Cebu, Bohol, and Bali, Indonesia, Malaysia a few times, where I am now. And I'm going back to the Philippines again next month. I'll be in Manila, and then I'll be going to Davao City and another island there. So I'm still managing to keep this work going. And what is my work? What is my purpose? I figure out it's obviously the opposite of whatever I've been doing. I mean, whatever they try to control, whatever they restricted, that's my purpose. That's what it is. And that's why I travel, I explore. And I just want to be free. So that I can experience what they try to take away from me all of my life. I can see the world. I can see different places and hear different languages, different cultures. I can see all of it. Although, let's keep it real. Of course, I see a lot of narcissism. As someone from the other side of the world, I see it all. I mean, and especially, if you think, let's take Britain is a very, as a whole, it's a very selfless country. It's very liberal. Too much. We care about immigrants more than our own people, which is absolutely ridiculous. But that's how it's become. It was meant to be more about equality, because there used to be minorities and, they were neglected for such a long time, which was unfair. But now it's gone into extreme, and they care about the immigrants more than their own people. They care more about lesbians, gays, transgenders than heterosexuals, which is just ridiculous. But in these parts of the world, it's the complete opposite. If you're from a different country, of course, they're going to choose their own people over you. Even if their own people are stealing from you, maybe even if they're trying to murder you, they're going to side with their own people. And yeah, same thing with transgenders, gays. I don't really agree with it myself, in all honesty, but I believe that everyone has the right to decide for themselves and You know, if that's really who they think that they are, then I know I'm not going to challenge it. I'm not going to fight them or control them, but I'm not going to change my beliefs either. You know, if that's what I believe, then that's what I believe. And I don't want to be brainwashed about it. But yeah, definitely, you know, from my travels, I can see many foreign countries, they are highly narcissistic as a whole. Like, they care more about their own people. While us in the West, we care more about immigrants. We care more about transgenders, gays, rather than just our own regular people. So we've gone the other way. But yeah, that's what narcissism is, you know, when you view people as an extension of yourself, you view them as your property, as a reflection of yourself. And even then, it's just an idealistic image of yourself. It's not even really you. If you want to find who you are, you've got to let go of your ego, your need to be so important. It doesn't mean you have to completely, entirely humble yourself. No. It doesn't mean you go from one extreme to the other. You go more balanced, more in the middle. So if you're too much in your ego, you drop the ego a bit. If you're too much in your soul, then you drop a bit of the soul and have a bit more ego, so that you get a balance. But yeah, a lot of the people in the world, it seems that, you know, they're highly egotistical and just highly shut off. They're all about their own people, their own tribe, because they view them as a reflection of their idealistic self. And then everyone else is just, you know, the outsiders or the opposition. Well, that's just how it is. And I don't think the world is meant to be that way. Because you have to remember, you know, we're all connected, we're all one. We all share common ancestors. And that's just how it is, you know, everything else is just a facade, it's just a matrix. And yet, we're all so separate, you know, we're all so egotistical. And essentially, we're all just children. It's like we can't learn to share, you know, appropriately, fairly. It's like even at this point in time, we still haven't figured that out. And it's just crazy. But this is how it is. We just can't find balance. And we go from one extreme to the other, and then back again. No one ever wants to let it go and meet in the middle. No one ever wants to do that because, of course, from the last time, they're holding on to so much resentment. And this is why we can never break these generational curses. And of course, you know, there also has to be an incentive to do that. I mean, after you've been wronged and you're carrying resentment, you're not just going to let that go unless, you know, you're going to be compensated for it, unless there's an incentive for it. But yeah, this is how it is. This world is a highly narcissistic place. It really is, and a lot of people, they can't even see it. But it's everywhere. Narcissism is everywhere. And this is why people don't even get to know themselves. They don't even know who they really are. And everyone's just a mirror to them. And that's just it, you know. Challenge yourself. Can you make a friend who's different to you, not a reflection of you? Someone who looks different, someone who's from a different country. Can you be in a relationship with someone like that? Because that's real love. You know, when you're with someone who's like, got the same eye color, skin color, the same ethnic background, all of these things, it's just a reflection of you. You're just loving yourself through them. That's all that it is. Real love is unconditional, without bounds, without conditions. So someone may be different from you, but you can love them anyway. That's what real love is. And that comes when you let go of your self-importance. Obviously not completely let it go, because then you open yourself up to predators, people who are seeking to exploit you. So you always want to have some awareness, of course. I mean, it's never that you go from one extreme to the other. And in fact, that is narcissism. It's narcissism on both sides. It really is. Both extremes are narcissism. Any kind of extreme is. When you go more in the middle, then it becomes healthier. But then, of course, there's codependency as well. But many codependents, they do seem to be very firm in their ways of how they do things. So that's something to take note of too. But yeah, this is it. This is the video. This is Narc Survivor live at this park today. Just enjoying the sounds of the birds, enjoying the breeze, the sunlight. And this is it, this is how you know if you're healing, if you're on the right track, if you can feel good about yourself just out in nature. Especially if you can put the phone away, no distractions, and you can just sit alone by yourself. That's how you know that you feel whole. That's how you know that you're healing. If it feels scary, if it feels uncomfortable, if you feel like you need people, you need that attention, that validation, that company, then those aren't really good signs. And it could reveal that you have some things to work on. Of course, it doesn't mean that we have to be alone all of the time. But you should be feeling like, when you're around people, after a certain point in time, you should be like, I want to get away from it all. Just shut my phone off. I want to be alone now for a couple of days. All to myself. That's how you should feel. You should be missing yourself because you still have a self there. But if you're comfortable being around people all the time, every day, where are you? If you're constantly just observing and reacting to them. But yeah, just some things to think of. Anyway, that's it for this one. If this video was informative for you, please give it a thumbs up. And drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know your views on what I've said to you. Let me know if you have any questions. Let's start a discussion together. If you're new here, subscribe. Hit the bell icon, all notifications, so that you will be notified when I go live again. If you'd like to book a one-on-one, just go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. Your donations are greatly appreciated, no matter how small. You can donate by going to paypal.me/narcsurvivor. And also you can follow me on my Instagram. It is Narc Survivor YouTube. Just reading all your comments there. Thank you all for your support. There will be a premiere, about 5.5 hours. And other than that, I will talk to you in the next live video very soon.